Republicans will likely have 53 senators in January after Democrat Bill Nelson conceded to Rick Scott this weekend. The move came after contentious recounts in the Florida Senate and governor's races. I'm joined now by Josh Kroshar. He's politics editor at the National Journal. Senator Scott is now going to, well, he's Senator-elect Scott. He'll get to Washington, D.C., but that recount maybe shaved a few years off of his life down there.
And it was a close race, but it's good news for Republicans and certainly for President Trump looking at the 2020 map, because Florida is absolutely essential to any path to victory the president's going to have in a couple of years. And the fact that even in a blue wave, even in an environment that was very favorable to Democrats, Republicans won the Senate race, they won the governor's race. Those are two good signs for Republicans, and it makes Mitch McConnell a lot happier now that he has a likely 53 seats in the Senate.
53 is better than 52 if you're counting as a majority leader. Do you think that Florida can basically get its act together, those two counties in particular, Broward and Palm Beach County, to have a better election in 2020?
It's just amazing that we had the butterfly ballot in 2000, and it's been 18 years, and you have the same election issues. But, you know, with Snipes stepping down and perhaps a more successful administrator taking over in Broward and maybe new leadership, that could change.
So I was reading your column this weekend, and one of the things I wanted to show is that the Republicans were able to flip 4 Senate seats in this midterm election. You had North Dakota, Indiana, Missouri, and now Florida, as we just said. But the 2020 map, how does that look for Democrats and Republicans?
Well, Florida, by the way, is a huge insurance policy. Rick Scott is Mitch McConnell's insurance policy for 2020, because 53 seats for McConnell is a lot better than 52. And when you look at the map for 2020, it's going to be Democrats going on offense. They'll have a lot more opportunities to win seats than the Republicans. But on the other hand, there are only 2 seats that Republicans hold that are in states that Hillary Clinton won. And one of those seats is Susan Collins, who's got sky-high job approval ratings in Maine. So the map is, you know, and Doug Jones is also hanging out there in Alabama, and he's going to be the most vulnerable senator in the entire country. So when you think about 53 seats, McConnell probably has about 4 seats that he can lose if Jones doesn't win in Alabama.
And the president is going to head to Mississippi to help rally for that Senate election there. Do Republicans have really anything to worry about in Mississippi?
Well, when you have a special election or a runoff in this case, it's always unpredictable who's going to show up. And I think Trump wants to make sure Republicans in Mississippi show up
to vote.
For Cindy Hyde-Smith. But, you know, and she's made some gaffes on the campaign trail. So it's an extra cautious move to make sure Republicans vote in Mississippi.
Look, insurance they call it insurance for a reason. My last question for you, just before you came on air, a new letter against Nancy Pelosi being the next Speaker of the House, signed by 17 Democrats, has just been released. Maybe it wasn't. It's 16 Democrats. Okay, Nancy Pelosi doesn't have a lot of room here to play with. What do you think is going on?
The one thing that was really striking about that letter, first of all, there is a base of discontent within the Democratic Party caucus in the House. But all but 2 of the Democrats who signed the letter are men. And there are not a whole lot of freshmen who were just elected. So I kind of wonder whether that will hold, whether they'll be able to sustain that opposition if Pelosi is able to kind of make her own move with her caucus. It's a big number, but I wonder how flexible some of those House Democrats' opposition are.
So when Marcia Fudge, who had that big meeting with Pelosi last week and said she will make her decision after the holiday, Thanksgiving, as to whether or not she would challenge Nancy Pelosi for the speakership, she's not on the list. Does that say anything to you?
I think that's an important sign for Pelosi. You can't beat Nancy Pelosi with no one. And I thought it was striking that over the weekend, Congresswoman Fudge was actually saying some nice things about Pelosi's leadership in the House. And that doesn't sound like the rhetoric of someone looking to challenge her for the speakership. So it's notable that you got 16 Democrats saying that they don't want to support Pelosi, but I still think Pelosi has time and some wiggle room to make that change.
All right, but it'll still be tight, so we'll pay attention to it. Josh Kroshar, thank you.
Thanks.